Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by Austin Brubaker. Hey, it is the day after so many coincidences with the FreddieFreeman deal. I mean, there's just too many to go around, right?
Yeah. Have you cooled down a little bit from the excitement from the high of last night? Last night was absolutely amazing. You guys all remember and know exactly what we're talking about with the walk-off grand slam in game one, down one with 2 outs to go, or with 2 outs in the World Series. It was absolutely phenomenal. The day has turned over, and we are 2 hours away, or 2 hours and 8 minutes away, if you want to be precise, Casey, from Game 2 of the World Series. And as we talked about yesterday, the reason why that was so exciting is it propelled the Dodgers a little bit forward. That moment will take a step back if the Dodgers are not able to respond tonight. This series is far from over. It's going to be interesting to see how both teams are going to respond to the emotional high for the Dodgers and the emotional low for the Yankees. They're going to have a response today. The Dodgers are going to have to show up. They're going to have to be ready to play. I'm ready to get game 2 started. I'm ready for the Dodgers to play some really good baseball and head to New York with the 2-0 series advantage. If they do that, you got to feel incredibly good about the Dodgers' chances going forward.
Yeah, I would say that typically speaking, that emotional high or low would favor the team that lost, because they become, I don't know if desperate's the right word, but they're certainly become hungrier for a win, because the New York Yankees, the last thing they wanted to do was come to Los Angeles and go down 2-0. Now, you can always come back from a 2-0 deficit, but it's a lot easier to come back from a 1-1 deficit than 2-0. So I think the emotional state of last night plays into the team that did lose, although the Dodgers are the team that is at home.
Yeah, I would say you're probably right. And we saw that with what the Dodgers were able to do when they fell during a couple of games during the postseason this series. They were able to have a good response. That Game 4 response that the Dodgers had in San Diego, that was a response to an emotional low that they had when they looked themselves to the face and said, are we going to let this happen? Now, the Yankees haven't been to the World Series in 15 years, so they haven't had this dramatic of a loss before and had the chance to be able to respond to that. So it's going to be interesting to see the guts and the character of that team. And I'm sure they're ready to get out there. I'm sure they're chomping at the bit. As soon as that game ended, they were ready to start a Game 2, ready to turn the page and move on. And believe me, as you had mentioned, I think the Yankees are going to give every single ounce of their best shot during the game today, because I think they see this almost as a must-win going forward. Otherwise, they would feel like they would have to win all 3 games in New York, because you don't want to come back to Los Angeles down 3-2, and then the math works out best for the Yankees to win tonight. If they want to win this series, they're going to give everything that they've got. We'll see the guts and the character of them. And for the Dodgers, they're just going to have to move on from that. Still feel good and confident about themselves, but be ready to play and play as detailed and fundamental as they did. Last night was great. Last night is not what you play for. You play for the World Series. That comes if you win 3 more games.
Yep, got to wake up and do it again. Norm Lee, thank you so much for joining Showtime. Craig, thank you so much. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlight. Gregory, our wonderful moderator, is in the house. So is Dave S. Norm Lee, we're going to start off with some comments here, Austin. Norm says this has the making of a trap game. He's talking about what I'm talking about, in the sense that it feels like the team that won should have the momentum. And I'm telling you, I've been in competitive athletics long enough to know it's like whenever one team dominates one half, right? The team that makes the most amount of adjustments is the team that's losing because they have to. And so now that team comes out and has all the different looks to it, whereas the team that's winning just says, keep doing what you're doing. And so it easily, that trap game, I think what Norm is trying to say, I don't want to put words in his mouth, is that the Yankees will be as far as the emotions go, this easily could favor them to be more hungry, like we said earlier.
Yeah, we've seen this in a lot of different sporting events. In football, when you get a big emotional win over your rival, the next week there
Yes,
can be very often be a little bit of a dud because
there you
you're
go.
living off of the motions of that. With baseball, that's a far shorter turnaround than what it is for even like a week preparing for a football game. But a lot of the principle can apply towards that. If you look at this game, Dodgers are going up against Carlos Rodon, who has been solid, who has had some success against some of these Dodgers hitters before. I think it very well has the making of a trap game for the Dodgers, which makes that win
Trap game
even more important.
set up, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that makes that win for the Dodgers yesterday even more
no doubt.
important if you look at some of the matchups that are going to happen during the game today. So definitely a little bit of a trap game. We're gonna find out pretty early how these teams respond to yesterday's game, and I expect nothing but the best from the Yankees, and I also know the Dodgers and know that they are a grittier, hungrier team than they have been the past couple of years, or at least that's what it appears to be on the field. I have no doubt that they're going to go out there and do everything that they can to win this game.
If I look a little bit distracted, I'm really not. I'm kind of peeking over to my right. I got my Oklahoma State Cowboys over on my right screen. They are down 4 points as they head into the fourth quarter against Baylor. So I got a lot of things going on right now as we speak. My pushback on the trap game thing, well, the obvious part of that is it's the freaking World Series, right? I mean,
Yes.
there is no such thing whatsoever to trap games emotionally, let up, any of that, because it is the World Series and it just the stakes are way too high. That's pushback number one. Pushback number two, I would also say I don't feel like the Dodgers had a particularly good plan last night at the plate. I don't feel like they particularly executed very well. I feel like they just continued to grind. The pitching was good enough to where the Dodgers finally had enough opportunities to where they finally took advantage of the right one. So I feel like last night's game, from a lot of different ways for the Dodgers offensively, was like a C minus type of game in terms of preparation and plan, execution, squandering opportunities, this and that. So my biggest pushback to any kind of let up or trap game let up, same thing, would be that I think the Dodgers have a way better offensive game out there than they played last night.
They are far better, and they can do so much
Yes.
more than what they showcased last night to score the 2 runs in the 9 regular inning games on 2 sacrifice flies from a couple of triples that they were able to go, or in the case of Shohei Ohtani, able to take the extra base because the Yankees let him take an extra base with the baseball getting away. There's so much more that this Dodgers team can do. I think they showcased a lot more in the Mets series. Good, proper plate discipline.
Yes.
And they did not showcase that a lot especially throughout the
at the top
early
of the
innings, especially during the early innings of the game yesterday. They've got to get back to that type of game, get back to getting Carlos Rodon to throw a lot of pitches in there, get it to where, man, they're working and battling through the counts to where even if you do get an out, you take something out of him and you force the Yankees to go a little bit deeper into their bullpen, and which is one of the things that we saw during the game yesterday. Part of the reason why the Dodgers were able to win, I think, is because the Yankees didn't have as deep of a bullpen, or at least they decided to make Nestor Cortez go in for it. Tim Hill, who's been really solid throughout the course of the season, doesn't have the same.
One-dimensional, though. He's one-dimensional. He's a fastball guy. The Dodgers hit the fastball usually. They didn't last night against Garrett Cole, which shows you how good Garrett Cole's fastball is. But I think it's the fastball element that they didn't like about that.
Yeah, and it could also be something that Tim Hill also gives up a lot of contact, and I think they were looking for a little bit more of that swing and miss that potentially Nestor Cortez had, especially in the matchup with a Shohei Ohtani, and they got that out. They were not able to get the final out, but I think you saw some of the lack of depth in there, so I think the sooner that you're able to get, the more looks that you're able to get at these Yankees arms in the bullpen, I think the more confident that you're going to be able to feel, and I think that comes from some of the smart fundamental working counts, working some battles, not swinging at the first pitch and popping it up to the infielders type of approach. I think they have to be smart about how they go about doing it. play in their zone, play their game. And if they do that, I have confidence that they're going to score more than 2 runs on 2 sacrifice flies, because this offense is better than that. And then if you get a little bit from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you feel good about your chances.
So let's jump around a little bit. We're talking about the Dodgers offense against tonight's starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, Carlos Rodon. But let's jump over to the other side, because we have a comment here from Craig Osterberg. Yamamoto needs his control to be successful for going 6 innings. So the Dodgers walk a lot. The Yankees have walked, I think you said, 87 more times than the Dodgers this year.
70 more times.
70 some odd, a bunch. Almost, 3/4 of 100 times more than the Dodgers have. That's how much they walk.
Yes.
I've said it all year. It's curious to me, does Yoshinobu Yamamoto have to get Chase, swing and miss on Chase, to be an elite pitcher? I think at times he has, but I think there's been also times where he's shown that his end zone stuff was good enough. I think it's going to be a fascinating cat and mouse chess game, whatever you want to call it, to see if that curveball that Yamamoto's throwing in the zone is good enough to beat Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and, GiancarloStanton might swing at a curveball in the dirt. But the other two aren't usually going to let you off the hook. They're going to force Yamamoto to come in the zone with that curveball and his fastball, both his 4-seam and his 2-seam. I think it's going to be fascinating to see if his end zone stuff is good enough to beat these great hitters of the Yankees.
Yeah, and with Giancarlo, if he leaves that curveball up a little, even just a little bit, to him with the way that he's hitting right now, that thing could go like a skyscraper and go all the way to New York. That baseball could. I think with Yamamoto, I think it's going to be about hitting a lot of the corners and getting some of those strikes with his fastball first. If he's able to make sure that fastball can go in the zone and be able to get some of those called strikes, be able to get on the corner of the zone. Because I think with this Yankees
against
team,
the big three, huh? You think he's going to be fastball?
I'm just talking about in general right now. So with this Yankees lineup, with what they're able to do throughout the entire lineup, it's a bunch of guys that are not going to swing and miss. They're not going to chase. They're the least prone to chasing out of any team in Major League Baseball. So how do you do that? Well, Yamamoto has had a reputation of being able to throw some of those strikes, be able to keep it in the zone without keeping it over the heart of the plate in the zone. And I think part of the plan, partly the execution, knowing how to attack some of these Yankees hitters, is he's going to have to live on the edges of the zone a little bit with some of these Yankees hitters, with some of his fastball, while also being to mix in some of his off-speed pitches that also can go into the zone a little bit. How they're able to attack some of these the Sotos, the Judges, the Stantons, I think you're going to have to see some of that breaking stuff getting a little bit out of the zone to see if they're able to chase a little bit. I think they're going to be pushing that. It's going to be tough to get them to swing and miss at all of those. I think you can do it a little bit earlier in the count, get them to swing and miss at that. But that put away pitch, I don't exactly know what the Dodgers plan to get away a lot of those guys. I think it might be a lot of throwing a lot of junk and hoping that it doesn't leave it over the heart of the plate.
See, I think it revolves around, in my opinion, I think very well it could be pitching backwards. Yeah. Because when you look at Yamamoto's curveball, there's times where it's elite, and then there's times to where he hangs it and becomes a home run. We've seen both sides of that. It has had just tendencies of Jekyll and Hyde throughout the season. More so times than not, it's a great pitch for him. His 2-seam's a good pitch. He has not been throwing his splitter as much as of late, because I think he's been trying to focus more on making sure he's staying in the strike zone so he can throw good pitches that move within the strike zone instead of getting behind in the count and relying on, because that splitter is so hard to control. I think it's going to be, here's the recipe. You got to throw 60% strikes between the 4-seam and 2-seam. Those two pitches have to be 60% strikes. I think he needs to pitch backwards a good deal of his time with his curveball in the zone. I think that's how you make your curveball effective in the zone, is that you pitch it backwards for strike one, right? And then he needs to be able to get to his splitter more than he has in his last outing for put-away pitches. I could see Giancarlo Stanton swinging at that splitter pitch all night long. Same with Jazz Chisum and some of the guys at the bottom of their lineup.
Yeah, if you can get that splitter, if you can get that a little bit lower below the zone, I think some of these Yankees hitters are just going to swing right over top of that and get a little bit of that swing and miss. I think with Yamamoto, look, I think he built up a lot of confidence with his performance that he had earlier this season against the Yankees, albeit it did not have Soto in the lineup. So that's going to be a new, intriguing matchup to see those two go up and line up in front of each other. I think he built a little bit of confidence with that. I think the Dodgers have a good game plan to be able to attack a lot of these Yankees hitters, and I think they're going to lean into that, getting a little bit of that swing and miss, working a little bit backwards, mixing it up all the sorts, keeping these hitters as off balance as you possibly can be.
Yeah, hey, we have a comment here from Showtime, Austin. Did you see our guy Hope, number 16 prospect on Just Baseball Top 100? Zaire Hope.
Yes, yeah, I noticed him. Just Baseball does a really good job with a lot of the prospect guys. They talk a lot about that, and they spend a ton of time. I think they're out there in Arizona doing some of the Arizona Fall League stuff, and Zaire Hope has been killing it over in the Arizona Fall League. Obviously, with the Dodgers World Series run, haven't been as invested into the Arizona Fall League as I normally would be, but I think that's a good thing because the Dodgers going a little bit far. But no, he's doing some great stuff out there. I believe Sean and Matt McClain are on the same team out in Arizona, so that's a really cool aspect. Zaire Hope, I couldn't be more excited to see him in Great Lakes next year. I think he's going to spend some time, probably to start the season in Great Lakes, in which case, woo, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. I've tried in the past to keep up with the Arizona Fall League and like do my X videos and Instagram videos and daily. It's just so hard to do. I mean, it's hard to get footage. It's hard to get. It's almost not even worth trying because there's so much time it takes to find any kind of footage. It makes it very difficult. Plus, with the World Series, I'm not going to lie, I had pretty much checked out of minor league coverage for the time being. I was talking to my wife about this morning. It's been kind of a nice break in my brain because in the minor leagues, there's like, you have the 4 affiliates and then the complex. There's always somebody somewhere to talk. I'm just covering one team right now.
Yes.
And so that makes it a little bit cleaner for me, a little bit more black and white. So that's been kind of a good change. But we will get back into all of our minor league coverage as soon as the World Series is over. But we have completely shifted here on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network to be 100% focused on the World Series and make sure that we cover every angle and have great conversation about that. So we'll have a lot of time to talk about Zaire Hope.
Yeah.
Glad you brought that up, Showtime. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike says Dodgers. I'm sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, as soon as the World Series is over, as soon as the Dodgers raise that trophy and are celebrating and there's parades going on, we'll have a lot of additional coverage, both on what the Dodgers should do roster-wise and also with a lot of these prospects. I know Casey and I, we can spend as much time as we spend watching these Dodgers, we spend a lot of time watching the prospects come up through the system, and we've got a lot of thoughts on that. So Showtime definitely bring up Zaire Hope, and we'll dedicate a segment to him coming up once the World Series is over.
Yeah, Orlando says Jazz Chisum is the new Jurickson Profar. Insufferable. Talking about just the confident pizzazz. Jazz Chisum has pizzazz, but it doesn't seem like it's intended like towards the other team or the other team's audience or fans or anything. It's just he just has a lot of look at me to him.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that swagger as part of his game, and it's in part to
does it rub you wrong?
In part to try to get him fired up, in part to try to get the Yankees fired up. I think with the rivalry between the Dodgers and the Padres, that things were really tense in that series, and I think that provoked it a little bit more to where I think it had a little bit more of a rivalry with Profar. With Jazz Chisum, he's just doing his thing. I think it's intriguing that he's going out there and stealing a lot of bases for the Yankees because that is an element.
Intriguing's not the right word, Austin. Concerning.
Yeah. That is,
scary?
It is concerning. It is concerning that they were able to do that so much off of a guy like a Blake Trinan, who will be called upon late in the game, likely in a close game for this Dodgers-Yankees team. And are the Yankees able to get those extra bases to score the necessary runs? That is a concerning part. Jazz Chisum, he's doing everything that he can to put to rest all of the narratives and all of the struggles that he had earlier in this postseason, and I expect nothing but the best from him.
They found a kryptonite to the Dodgers bullpen, and that is get on base. So I've been asked this question in the last 24 hours. What can Blake Trinan do, whoever it is, as far as a relief pitcher for the Dodgers to keep somebody like a Jazz Chisum Jr. from stealing bases? And really, I don't mean to be smart aleck or anything like that. I'm dead serious when I say there's one thing they can do, and there's really only one thing they can do right now. You know what that is, Austin?
What's that?
Don't let him on base to begin with.
That's
exactly
it,
right. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no way Blake Trinan can pivot midstream, say, oh, you know what, today I'm just going to start going with a slide step. I'm going to start worrying about the runner at first and second and this and that. That can't happen. It hasn't ever happened in his career. Now, I will say this. We mentioned with Showtime the minor league coverage we're getting ready to get back into when this World Series is over. One thing that the Dodgers did do a tremendous job of in the minor leagues is that they started holding runners and they started throwing out runners at a pretty high rate. And so that is coming, but it's not going to happen in the next 5 games with guys like Blake Trinan who have been doing this for so long. So really the key there is just can't let Jazz Chisum on base.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done, but that is the reality. And you can't change the way that Blake Trinan goes out there and approaches the game and add another element that could throw him off of the most important element that he has, which is focusing and getting the batters out that are out there at the plate. You strike everybody out, very likely that a runner is not going to be able to steal home plate, and so you can get a lot of guys out. I don't think there's a whole lot that the Dodgers are going to be able to do. That's just one of those things that they have to recognize. The Yankees have a game plan. Will Smith does have a good arm behind the plate, but if the Yankees are getting good enough jumps to where that doesn't even matter, which if you look at the pop times yesterday, were really solid pop times for Will Smith, did nothing. It wasn't even close with the stolen bases that they had. The Yankees have something that is just a reality of what they have right now. You got to give props to them and don't let them on base in the first place.
Yeah, so if you want to do this at home, grab your phone and put on a stopwatch, or if you have a stopwatch at the house, 1.4 is what you want your pitcher to be to home plate. So anything above 1.4, an average base runner is going to try to steal as long. So really what kind of the average mark is 1.4 and around a 2-point pop time for a catcher. So if you're at 1.4 for the pitcher, 2-point pop time for the catcher, you're at 3.4 overall, right? As far as the time that the pitcher throws at the home plate and then the ball gets to second base. Okay, so any above average base runner is going to be able to beat that. I didn't time it last night, but my guess is Blake Trinan's 1.718, which means
because Will Smith had a 1.8 pop time or 1.85, something like that to second base, which is above average for him, and he's been really solid of that. So I think most of the time,
which gave him a 1.6 buffer, and it still wasn't close, which tells me he's maybe 1.9, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yep. So that's just something that they're going to have to deal with the rest of the series. If they focus and they're able to get those hitters out, though, you don't have to worry about that. Or if Stanton is on base, I'm going to guess that he probably will not steal base, although I was not anticipating a FreddieFreeman triple during the game yesterday. So what do I know?
Yeah. Now, I do think you can keep him from stealing third. I think that was a shift issue. I think that was just being so far away from the bag and that kind of thing. Hey, Diaper Toes. I think I said that right. Diaper Toss. How's it going? How's it going with yourself? Hey, O'Donnell boy wants to talk about the umpire last night. I don't want to throw shade, and I hate being critical because it's a very difficult job. I have umpired behind home plate 1,000 games in my life. My dad is going to be a Hall of Fame umpire in the state of Oklahoma. He's done college ball. He umpired the largest attended baseball game ever to be seen in Oklahoma, and it'll never be broken because All Sports Stadium doesn't exist anymore. When Pete Rose and the Philadelphia Phillies came to Oklahoma City in 1983 for an exhibition. So I tend to side with the umpires because I know just how hard of a job this is. Having said that, I have to agree with O'Donnell boy. That zone last night, Austin, I can't defend it, man. It just, like Tommy Edman had his entire at bat taken away from him once.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Tommy Edman because that was late in that game yesterday when that first one was outside and blowing away, and that second one was inside. Yeah, it was frustrating watching the zone yesterday. I'm glad it didn't come back and was the reason why one team won or lost. Umpiring a baseball game is a margin error. It's a very difficult job. Most of the times they do a really good job with what they're able to do. Last night was not a great called game performance. I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it, though. The game was won and decided on the field, and they're going to switch out some of the umpires behind home plate. So hopefully it's a little bit better tonight.
Yes, I think you just hit that perfectly. I think it needed to be addressed, but then address it, move on, exactly like Tommy Edman did in his at-bat last night.
Yes.
Hey, yeah. Diaper Toss says, Dodgers have to grind out those at-bats, cannot think big against Carlos Rodon. We'll get into the Dodgers matchup against Rodon. I know he's had some success. We'll get into some of the X and O's, but I think I keep hearing like the Dodgers were trying to swing for home runs. I didn't see that. What I saw was the Dodgers trying to be aggressive on the fastball up in the zone, and that literally is what you can't do against Garrett Cole. So I didn't think the Dodgers swings were too big. I just thought they were swinging at the wrong pitches.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing because we talked a lot about that. You mentioned that a lot on the pregame show that the Dodgers had to avoid that a little bit. And first pitch, fastball up in the zone. Ohtani's going for that. Yeah. And he's been swinging a lot. He's aggressive early in the count, trying to do damage as when a lot of these pitchers are trying to get ahead in the count. I'm looking for a little bit more disciplined at bats, waiting for exactly the type of pitch that they're looking for, and trying to grind out a little bit of bats. That's what I want to see a little bit more from the Dodgers today.
Boy, this is a statement that could not be any more accurate. We have the best baseball IQ'd crowd out there, period, any discussion. It's not even close. It's an honor to get to even to speak to all the Dodgers dogs out here. How about this? Momentum is the next day starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Man, if that's not the truest statement I've ever heard in a game of baseball, right?
Oh, that's absolutely true. And that's
good job,
we're gonna find out that early what's going to happen with both of these clubs, how Yamamoto is going to help carry the momentum that the Dodgers had throughout the course of yesterday's game. If he's able to put up a 0 in the first inning, I think the Dodgers are going to feel really good about themselves, especially if he's able to go through a good chunk of that top of the Yankees lineup. And then for going out and attacking Rodon, I think if the Dodgers are able to put a run on him early in this game, you got to feel confident. You got to feel like you're running and you can sprint towards a Game 2 victory.
Here's an interesting comment from Nando. Yankees are going to come out swinging. Yamamoto needs to get them chasing. They've walked more than anybody in the game of baseball. I'm curious, what matchup part of this would make the Yankees more aggressive than they normally are, to come out of their normal game plan to be more aggressive than they normally are against a Yamamoto type, to where if you chase the zone at all, you have no shot?
Yeah, that I would anticipate the Yankees to stay within their game plan. Yes. I think they're a team with as much as they won throughout the course of the regular season, as much as they've won even during this postseason as well. They took care of the series against the Royals and the Guardians. A lot of that has come through their patient, disciplined approach that they've had at the plate. And that starts with the Soto and Judge, with what they're able to do at the plate. But that also translates and follows along with a lot of the rest of the lineup. Look, I think it would be easy in human nature to go out there to try to be aggressive, to say, hey, we have to change this momentum immediately, right away. I just think this Yankees team is going to be smart by the way that they approach it. And I don't think they're going to go outside of what they normally have done throughout the course of the season. This is a team that does not chase. This is a team that does not, or that walks a ton, as we've talked a lot about throughout the course of these pregame shows. I expect them to be disciplined, but I also anticipate if Yamamoto stays completely in the zone, if they're noticing that Yamamoto's trying to live in the zone, trying to make it 0-2 with pitches in the zone every single plate appearance, if he's in the zone, you swing at pitches in the zone. So I think it's going to be partially determined by what happens, what they see from Yamamoto. I think they'll get a little bit of a look at him early in this game. And then if he's staying a lot in the zone, I think their hitters could open up and be aggressive at those pitches in the zone.
Charlie Stokes says, hey, Casey, hey, Austin, Dodgers in 6 games. We win on Fernando Valenzuela's birthday. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would be special to do it in Dodger Stadium, to do it on Fernando's birthday. You can't write a better script than that for the Dodgers. Now, obviously, I'm focused on trying to get it so that Game 4 in New York, that's where the Dodgers are able to celebrate. If it takes 6 games to be able to do it, as long as the Dodgers win the series, I don't care.
You know, we celebrated Glass now. We celebrated Ohtani, we celebrated Yamamoto, we celebrated all of this in the offseason. We celebrated the trade deadline. One thing I've been celebrating all year is the complete aspect of the team element that the Dodgers have built. The Tommy Edmonds, the positional versatility defensively. We saw that last night because those margins matter. Putting a ball in play instead of striking out, right? That matters. Okay, even if you don't always come through. Hitting a fly ball instead of striking out absolutely matters. Getting a base hit instead of striking out, that absolutely matters. Stealing a base, that kind of thing. And then also defensively. Those defensive margins absolutely matter. The Dodgers played, I know that Edmund had the really tough play early where the ball kind of skipped on him. But the Dodgers made the defensive plays that mattered the most last night to a marginal perspective that it actually made an impact in the game, in my opinion.
Yes, and look, everybody wants to be FreddieFreeman in that game where you are the hero, where you are the person that hits the walk-off grand slam to help send your team to a victory. The Dodgers would not have gotten to that point if it was not for the marginal, the small, detailed plays that were made throughout the course of the game. Stopping a ball and preventing an additional runner from scoring in the 6th inning, like Tommy Edman was able to do at shortstop, made every single part of the difference in that. Shohei Ohtani taking the extra base when the ball got away, and Mookie Betts fighting and finding a way to drive a ball in the outfield allowed the Dodgers to be able to score. All of those small, detailed games that seem like they might be insignificant or might not seem as important as a FreddieFreeman grand slam all adds up to that moment to where you have the opportunity to be able to win those types of games. And the small marginal thing, I think, has been something that's been really impressive with this Dodgers team. It was something where early in the season, before the season, as we were starting to get this season going, we were worried about a lot of these teams' margins. When Mookie Betts was at shortstop to start this season, you didn't know exactly what was going to be able to happen. Well, we'll live with the offense, and with whatever defense he's able to provide us, we'll kind of provide and live. They got a Tommy Edman who's able to make a lot of those plays and be able to step up big time. And Miguel Rojas has done a lot of good things. He'll be at shortstop during the game tonight. And throughout just this complete whole team approach, even some plays like Max Muncy made some really good plays at third base before the season.
And how about the play to Edmonds right to keep the bases loaded? That's the sneakiest, biggest play of the game right there.
Oh, that absolutely. We talked a lot about before the season, like Max Muncy's a terrible defender at third base. No, he's made a lot of great improvements, and he got some really key outs for this team, not only in the game yesterday, but throughout this entire postseason. There's the small marginal plays and improvements that this team has been able to make, and the way that they play for each other has been really special. And it is a winning baseball mentality when you have that, when you have the approach that we're playing for the team. We're not playing for individuals. This team is not playing so that Shohei Ohtani wins a World Series title. They're playing so that the Los Angeles Dodgers win a World Series title. And I think because of that, you've seen this team be able to take that approach, win those margins, and be able to be as successful as they have been throughout the course of this postseason. What made that great game yesterday is the game could have changed at so many different turns. Any different turn.
It was fourth and goal for 3 hours.
It absolutely was, and that made it so fascinating. If we get even a small taste of that the rest of the series, baseball world is going to absolutely love it. You couldn't have asked for a better game yesterday.
Dave S., great point. That Yamamoto pitched a great game against the Yanks on June 7th. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 7 Ks. Would be great if he could replicate that. Now, keep in mind, no Juan Soto in that game, correct?
Yes, I don't believe Juan Soto was in that game.
Yep, and Diaper Tross is saying what I'm saying. I think more so than as of late, I think the splitter is going to be a huge pitch tonight for Yamamoto. Now, he's got to be in the strike zone with his fastball and his curveball both. We talked about pitching backwards. But I think that splitter, we talk about the Yankees walking as much as they have and being so disciplined. I think that's the one pitch that could be a kryptonite in terms of them not being able to chase the zone. I think that's the one pitch that could get them to chase the zone over and over and over because it's just hard to identify where in the heck that pitch is going.
Yeah, it is a very difficult pitch, especially with a lot of the other stuff that Yamamoto's going to be able to provide. He's going to provide the Yankees with a lot of different looks, and especially if he's able to mix the pitches really well, it's going to be very difficult to be able to go and attack Yamamoto. Mm-hmm. These hitters have only had one opportunity to be able to see him, or for some of these hitters, they haven't had a single chance to be able to go up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think that goes to advantage of the Dodgers. That goes to advantage of Yamamoto. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of success against them as well last time, which makes you believe that that could be replicated again during tonight's game. So Dodgers have a really good game plan. They've been researching this for months and months now of how to attack every single hitter across Major League Baseball, and that's been fine printed, and they got a game plan, and I think they feel confident in tonight.
This is a good point by Christopher Navarro. Establish the low fastball, then you can tunnel that same low location, the splitter to that, and then they'll think it's a low fastball, swing at it, and it dies back into the dirt. I think also you have to throw that two-seam up and in a little bit, maybe even the four-seam up and in, because, A, you got to back them off the plate, right? But you still got to use the top of the zone, because if not, then your curveball's not effective. Because every time they see anything at the top of the zone, they're going to know it's a curveball, and they're going to know that top of the zone curveball is the one that you ambush. So I think the top of the zone with the fastball is big to tunnel the curveball off of. The bottom of the zone fastball is big for the splitter. And we have another super chat here, Austin. Roy Song coming through again for the Dodgers. Roy, you are awesome, dude. Hey, Casey and Austin, thanks for the pre-show. Your predictions for Yama's outing. Innings pitched and earned runs. Do you agree with Edman being in the 9 slot? Hope he gets moved up. What do you think, Austin? First of all, Yamamoto, I'm going 6 innings. I'm going maybe 1 or 2 runs, something like that. I'm going 6. I'm going 6, and let's say 1 run.
Okay, I'll be a little bit less optimistic. I'll go 5. I'll go 5. I'll go 5, and
I'm going 5+. Let's put it that way. I'm saying he's going to take them out in the 6th.
I think he will get through 5 innings, and I think they'll give a clean break after that.
Okay.
And I'll say 2 runs
because of last night.
Yes, yeah. I'm debating between 2 and 3 runs. I'll say 2 runs. I'll be a little bit more optimistic. But Rory Song, thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. We got to make him a moderator or something.
We do. Absolutely. Matter of fact, that's a good idea, Austin.
The other aspect of
right there,
with Tommy Edman being in the 9 spot, I actually kind of like it, only because I like the approach of trying to turn the lineup over to the Shohei Ohtani, over to the Mookie Betts, over to the FreddieFreeman. Tommy Edman has been great. And I think if you were able to get guys on base for the top of the lineup, I think he's one of those guys that you right now feel pretty comfortable with being able to come through, being able to find different ways to make the smart baseball play. So I'm not completely against Tommy Edman back there in the 9 hole. Certainly he had a ton of success during the 4 hole during the National League Championship Series. So I can kind of see it either way. If he continues to have so much success, I get the point of trying to move him up to have him get more at-bats throughout the course of the World Series. But I'm kind of okay with where he's at right now. I think he can extend the lineup over to some of the big guys that have a lot of power and can do a lot of damage.
So who won the game for the Dodgers last night offensively?
Offensively, I mean, it was FreddieFreeman who had the big hit.
Mookie Betts had a sac fly.
Yeah,
and then Ohtani had the double off the wall. Ended up being a triple, right?
Yes.
So it's your big 3, right?
Yes.
And so having a guy like Tommy Edman that can turn that thing over and get it to Shohei Ohtani,
yes,
that is absolutely invaluable.
Yes.
That's more valuable to me right now for this Dodgers team, to give yourself the best chance to get a lineup turned over to the big 3, than having Tommy Edman somewhere in the middle of the lineup where he may or may not drive in runs.
Yeah, and I also think with, you have that. You have the ability to turn up the lineup, and then you also have the Teoscar Hernandez, you have the Max Muncies, that if some of the big guys up front are able to get on base, you have the ability to be able to, at any second, put a crooked number on the board. And I think we're still waiting for them to be able to put that crooked number on the scoreboard during the course of this series.
Yeah.
It happened at the last inning during the game yesterday. I think the Dodgers have the ability to do that at any second. But
Yeah.
I think the Tommy Edman in the 4-hole had a ton of success during the Mets series. You got to give him credit for what he was able to do during that series. It is a new series now. What is the best way to be able to approach this Yankees team? And also with the layoff can have different effects on everybody. I like him being able to turn the lineup over and find a way to get some of those base hits. So then Shohei Ohtani can go up there and Mookie Betts can go up there and drive in some runs.
Hey, this is another great comment from Pizza in the Box. Yamamoto splitter, Japanese Shudo pitch has the right side run. Great pitch, but yes, depends on command. 100%. Mommy Garcia, thank you so much for joining. Let's go Dodgers. Go up 2 games tonight. Dipetross fastball command up and away to lefties. Splitter command to lefties are my keys. Those are really good keys right there. And Dipetross is very confident that Yamamoto can give the Dodgers a really, really good start. Hey, Christopher Navarro loves the Down on the Farm reports. We love giving them. That is our bread and butter. That is our sweet spot. As a matter of fact, I saw where Kevin Hurt's in the house. Kyle Hurt's dad. So, hey, Kevin, how you doing, man?
That's awesome.
I hope all is well, and I hope Kyle is rehabbing and everything's working on the way that it should. So thank you so much for joining. Normally, the Yanks may try and end up running on Yamamoto, but Yamamoto does have a slide step. That's a neat cat and mouse game.
Yeah, it's a unique cat and mouse game. It's something that I'm sure he's a little bit more used to than trying to make a little bit of a change late in the season. I want to make one point. I think Tommy Edman's batting 5th today. So what do we know about all of this?
Okay. Yeah.
Dodgers are making. Well, I think that also has to do
with
game
by game. Yeah,
it's game by game, and it's also against a left-handed starting pitcher, and they're going to make up a little bit of changes, lefty versus righty. But yeah, I just want to make that point for everybody that was commenting that later in the chat. But yeah, welcome to the show, Kevin.
Yeah. Hey, we have a good comment here from Norm Lee. Fortunately, the Yanks only have 2 players that are base stealing threats, Volpe and Chisum. I really like Volpe. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. The Yankees, they wouldn't have gotten to this point if they didn't have good players on this team. I'm glad they don't have as many base stealing threats. That means it's a little bit less of a dynamic that you have to worry about. But if they do find a way to attack these Dodgers pitchers and be able to steal bases off of them, they're going to try to take advantage of the margins as much as they could, as we saw with Jazz Chisum yesterday. Luckily, the Dodgers were able to pull that off. But that is definitely something to watch throughout the course of this series. The Yankees have been not a good base running team. Will that continue, or are they able to turn that around really quick? Because that could close some of the gap between the talent between these two clubs.
Dave S., hopefully the mustard comes off the hot dog with Jazz Chisum in this series. That's funny. Hey, Dipetross, better yet, have Blake pitch with a lead. The bigger the better, no doubt, because if you have a lead, it becomes more risky to run, right? Christopher Navarro, we're bunting and stealing bases this year. Why not a pitch out? Hey, there you go. Hey, work on a pitch out, right? That's a great idea there, Christopher. I love that. Showtime. Look forward to you guys resuming your prospect coverage, you guys, in Blue Madness. That would be Tim Rogers. He does a wonderful job, dude. Does such a great job covering the prospects. Thank you there, Showtime. We are definitely going to get back to it here in just a bit. James G. Paratrooper. I'm not worried about the Yankees. We have Freddie, Mookie, Shohei, Muncy, Hernandez, Kike, Smith, Lux, and the GOAT, Thomas Yunsu Edman.
You got to feel pretty good about this Dodgers lineup. It has a ton of talent, and it seems to be rolling very well on all cylinders, even though yesterday wasn't a great offensive day for the Dodgers, and they still found a way to win. If they're able to get back to the way that they were hitting during that Mets series, good grief, series over.
Yep. Hey, Gary Penrod says balls and strikes need to be called by computers. They actually ditched the ABS system. We won't get into this. We've got into it 2 or 3 times. The challenge system is actually what is going to happen, and it is way better than the automated system for many different reasons we've already covered before. We're not going to get into them today, where each team gets 3 challenges. but I think there needs to be a good mix between human and machine. That ends up actually being the actual most accurate way of doing things. Colossal Jaguar, the Dodgers need to get timely hits. No doubt about that. Colossal saying also the challenge system as well. Dave S., wondering if Freddie will get a nice round of applause when he comes up to bat tonight. You would think so, right?
Oh, it's going to be thunderous when Freddie Freeman. It already is loud when he comes up, but after yesterday, it better be as loud as anybody has ever been cheered for at Dodger Stadium.
Hey, Cole bringing the goods. He's bringing his A game like he always does. Hey, boys, good to see you. I got my new bottle of Pepto-Bismol, and I'm ready to watch another stressful game tonight of Dodgers baseball in the playoffs. Kevin Hurt says Dodgers in 5.
Woo!
Kevin's coming up with the goods right there, baby.
Oh, yeah. Finish the series in New York. I'm all for that. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Diaper Tross makes a good point that they chased more yesterday than normal. Hey, Clayton Lockhart, what's up, dogs? I just smashed that like button. Hey, everybody else, if you haven't done that, smash that like button as well. Chris Dudley, Cole was a one-off. He rose to the occasion. Rodon's got a longer road than Cole. I would agree with that. We'll get into Rodon here in a second. Chris Dudley says the Yankees can't win without Aaron Judge. We need that sleeping giant to stay asleep, right?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know how much longer Judge is going to be able to stay asleep. He didn't perform great during the course of this postseason so far. I anticipate him to wake up at some point throughout the course of the series. You got the Dodgers still have to worry. They still have to execute him because he is a generational type of hitter with what he's able to do. And I think it's only a matter of time before he's able to wake up. The question is, are the Dodgers able to take as big of an advantage before he does? And I'm hoping that the Dodgers will be able to do that. But I'm still terrified what Aaron Judge can do.
Hey, let's get into our talk about Carlos Rodon. We're pretty much caught up with the comments to this point. And so let's talk about the matchup here. Carlos Rodon, heavy four-seam slider. If you look at the way that he does things, if you don't swing at his slider that is outside of the strike zone, this is a guy that you should have a lot of success against. To me, I mean, I hate to make things overly simple because they're not. I get that. But if you're to say, hey, Casey, make this overly simple for me, okay? Right? I would say if you don't chase the slider to the back foot of lefties or to the back foot of whoever he's throwing it to, right? If you don't chase the slider out of the zone, let me say that. I'm fumbling all over this. I'm watching my Oklahoma State game, and OSU's getting beat here in the fourth quarter. So I'm trying to do two things at once. So I apologize. Let me start that over. Okay, if I could make that overly simple, do not chase the slider out of the zone. Hit fastballs that are in the zone, and the Dodgers really could have a great night against this guy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. First off, I got to thank you, Casey, for not ripping your headphones out and throwing your hat down for when something happens in the Oklahoma State game. I know that's kicking you. That's bugging you a little bit.
OSU Team's not very good this year. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for your team, but it is what it is. With Carlos Rodon,
no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't really care that much. So with Carlos Rodon, I think you mentioned a really good point, but. I think it has to be said that Carlos Rodon has had a lot of success against some of these hitters. I'm just going to roll through some of the numbers with some of the big hitters that are part of this Dodgers lineup. I think 1, 2, 3 today is Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar, and then it's going to Freddie Freeman. But if you look at some of the numbers with Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts during 20 plate appearances has 1 double and 1 walk against Carlos Rodon. That's a 205 OPS. Teoscar Hernandez just has 9 plate appearances, a 222 OPS. I believe that's just 1 base hit is what he's been able to generate. So the Rodon has had some success. Will Smith, a 472 OPS. Some of the guys have had success. Even like a Freddie Freeman has done well against him. Shohei Ohtani, and during his limited time, has had some success. A little bit weird of those reverse splits from Carlos Rodon and what he's able to do. I think if you're able to get him, especially with the Dodgers, and this goes back to a consistent theme that we talked about.
The back foot. That's why.
Yeah, I think this goes to a consistent theme. It's easier to see for a lefty that's going
to break out of the zone. It's harder for a righty to see that back foot slider and determine whether it's a strike or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the Dodgers are going to have to be disciplined about how they're able to approach him and be able to lay off of those off speed, that slider that is tailing away out of the zone or tailing inside towards those right-handed hitters. I think if they're able to do that and force Carlos Rodon to beat them with the fastball, I think what the Dodgers are able to, I think they can beat that fastball, averaging about.
I don't think he'll be able to command it well enough to beat the Dodgers consistently in zone with his fastball.
Yeah, I think that is correct. Yeah. I would agree with that. And Carlos Rodon does give up a lot of barrels, does not give up a whole lot of ground balls throughout this season. So I think the Dodgers have a good opportunity with what they're able to do with as locked in as they are to be able to take advantage of Carlos Rodon. So I have a lot of confidence in what they're going to be able to do against him. The Yankees need Rodon, so I'm sure he's feeling all the pressure. I'm sure he's feeling all of the adrenaline. He has had success against some of these batters in the Dodgers lineup. How they're able to make those adjustments and how Mookie Betts is going to be able to learn from the 20 plate appearances he's had against Rodon is going to be interesting to watch.
Hey, this is a good point by Tony Forkis. This is what we're talking about. We talked about it in our postgame last night. Yeah, you won last night. The Dodgers seem to like they've kind of gone into that not relaxed mode, but like big picture mode. Like we need to say pitching like, hey, this isn't a do or die game for us. And I think the proof's in the pudding. The Dodgers have lost both game 2 in both the LDS and the LCS. So is that a philosophical thing, or is it just baseball, or is it the Dodgers won and so now they've let up a little bit? I mean, what is that, Austin?
It could be just one of those weird things that happens. If I remember right, in both of those games, one, the San Diego game kind of just fell away a little bit later. The offense wasn't able to perform really well and then ended up getting away from the Dodgers later in that game. And I don't think they wanted to necessarily use immediately, because they were trailing a little bit, their 8-team bullpen in that series. And then game 2 versus the Mets just got away pretty quickly. Yeah. They got down to that pretty big deficit, in which case they didn't use a lot of their arms. So I think it depends on how the Dodgers
are able to get up there. Is that because they had bullpen games?
That in part because they had bullpen games, and in part because Dave Roberts is strategically thinking of when he wants to deploy the arms that he has out of the bullpen. If the Dodgers go behind in a game because it's a 7-game series, because they have bullpen games, he's not going to utilize all of those A-team, what we call the A-team level relief pitchers, especially because in the game 1s, he's utilized those guys quite a bit. He's utilized an Evan Phillips. He's utilized a Michael Kopech and a Blake Trinan during these games, whereas the approach might be a little bit different in a game 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game 2 would differ if the Dodgers get a lead early in this game, because that is something that we have not seen during games 2s previously during the course of this postseason. If the Dodgers get a lead, it could be managed completely differently than what a game 2 was previously, whether they got in a big hole or whether it was a 2-1, 4-1 game against the Padres, and you're hoping that their pitching is able to hold out a little bit earlier while not utilizing every single bullpen arm that you have.
If the Dodgers get a lead, you treat this like game 7, period, end of discussion, my opinion.
Yes. Yes. If you have a opportunity to win this game, Dave Roberts is going to pull the trigger, and he's going to utilize every single arm that he can to win this game. It depends on what the opportunity and the percent chance that you have to win this game. If that opportunity presents itself, you best not miss those opportunities, because those opportunities might not come around. Those opportunities were not as evident, not as apparent in previous game 2s. It's going to be interesting to see if that is a little bit more of a realistic option, a little bit more of a realistic choice to be able to go down that path in game 2. And if it is, Dodgers are going to do everything that they can to win this game. Regardless, they're going to do everything they can to win this game. But how they manage it, how Dave Roberts deploys his bullpen, it depends completely on the score of the game at the time.
Yep. And, the obvious parts of the FreddieFreeman walk-off or the ramifications of winning the game because you're down, you're losing, this and that. But let's say he walks right there, okay? And then I can't remember who the next guy. I think Teo's the next guy in the lineup last night. And then Teo gets out. who in the hell are the Dodgers pitching in the extra innings? That's another aspect of that, is that he didn't just come through to keep the game going. He actually won the game for the Dodgers, ended the game at a time to where they no longer could pitch Blake Trinan. And I'm quite honest with you, I have no freaking clue who they would have pitched in extra inning. Maybe a Landon Knack, because he could have went like 5 innings, right?
I have no idea where they would have turned to that.
Right?
Because the Yankees were turning to a guy that can provide a little bit of length, a guy who has been a starting pitcher throughout his career. So they were ready to go for however long that game would have taken. That was absolutely huge, and is especially huge to take advantage of games where that A-team bullpen is able to go out there and have a ton of success. If you're able to win those games, you feel really good about what you're able to do and winning on your terms. A little bit of a maneuver, a little bit of an up and down throughout the course of yesterday's game, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to deploy the bullpen today. They have the day off following this game today, so that's going to give the bullpen at least a little bit of extra rest to have. And I believe Walker Buehler is going for Game 3. I think Dave Roberts said that today during one of the press conferences that he has. So you're going to have him starting, and so you kind of know what to expect. Maybe a little bit more of a bullpen game for Game 4. But if the Dodgers have an opportunity to win a Game 2, you best believe that they're going to utilize those A-team arms again. With the rest that was leading up to this, they're going to utilize every single arm that they can to win a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you want that bullpen game as close to the off day as you can get it. So that would make sense that it's Game 4 instead of Game 3. We've talked about this in our previous show. I don't think they have any clue exactly what they want to do at Game 6 and 7 yet, or Game 5, 6, and 7, how they want to separate that out. I think that's going to be determined based on how the series is going to go. But, hey, this has been another great show here tonight. We want just a tremendous crowd. Hey, Dodgers dogs. Alex Sagat, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, so go for the win. Alex is saying go for the win. You have an off day tomorrow. Just what a wonderful crowd, Austin. I mean, I'm just absolutely blown away and flattered and honored, and I can't thank all of you Dodgers dogs enough out there for this incredible support that you have given all of us. This is amazing, isn't it, Austin?
It's humbling to see how many of you guys are out there and enjoy just talking some baseball with us. Casey and I are just here having a conversation about the Dodgers, and to see you guys' support that you have for this, and just for you guys to be a part of the ride it's humbling. It is rewarding. It is. We're just so grateful for it. So we just want to make sure that you guys know that we recognize that, and we're so grateful for each one of you guys for turning in, for being excited, being Dodgers fans, being excited about this World Series. This is a great time. I can't imagine better times to be a Dodgers fan than right now. What else would you want to be? You're in the World Series. You get to see your club go out there. It's so much fun, and to be able to do this and be able to have a place where we're not in Los Angeles, so we don't get to be there with everyone, seeing all the Dodgers, but we can be here with you guys celebrating that. And I think that's really awesome, really special.
Hey, Joe Rampley, good evening to yourself. Alex God, thank you so much for those wonderful comments. Roy Song, you are an absolute rock star. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate you, and we appreciate all you Dodgers dogs out there. Austin, do you have any more final thoughts you want to get in before we get out of here?
No, I'm excited about this game, too. This is going to be a big game to see the trajectory of the series for the Dodgers and for the Yankees. If the Dodgers are able to steal this game, you're putting all of the pressure on the Yankees headed back to their stadium, in which case you have a chance to clinch it in front of every single person in New York that has the expectation that their team is going to win the World Series every single year. You have ability to be able to do that and bring the World Series title home. This game presents a huge opportunity. How they're able to respond from the emotional high, how they're able to move on from that, both clubs, is going to be really telling early in this game how both of the starting pitchers are going out there and approaching. Are the Dodgers seemingly having a little bit more disciplined at-bats that could allow them to score more runs than what they had during the game yesterday? I think a lot of those things are going to be telling. This is the World Series. This is Game 2, and the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead. Man, it feels like a dream with what happened yesterday and where the Dodgers are at right now. It is not a dream. It is real, and the Dodgers have an opportunity to win the World Series. This is everything that we've been talking about, everything that we've been battling for. It is up to for the Dodgers to be able to play smart, play disciplined. Nothing is going to be given to them over the course of the next 6 games, the next 3 games, the next however many games this series goes. They have to go out and take it. So whatever the Dodgers have to do to win Game 2, go win Game 2. Go up 2-0, and head to New York with all the confidence in the world and be ready to win after tonight 2 more games.
I need a good news sandwich today, Austin. The top of the sandwich, OU lost earlier today. That's good for me. The middle of the sandwich, OSU lost. That's bad for me. And so to complete the sandwich, I need the bottom of it. I need the Dodgers to win. That would be a good news sandwich for me. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait for it. It's a little bit over an hour. Hey, not even Oklahoma State sucking in football can get me in a bad mood right now because we're getting ready to watch Game 2 of one of the best World Series maybe it might go down of all time in terms of just the way it's played out. And I am not exaggerating. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic there or anything. I mean that as serious as I can be. I am so excited for the game here in about an hour. So, hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. We thank you, everybody out there again. It's a great day to be a Dodger. Go Dodgers.